Hello, welcome to Livestream. Nice to see you nice. So if this is your first time on Livestream, I'll tell you how it works. I do these talks every Wednesday and Sunday at 6 p.m. French time, and you're welcome to join for free. And you can ask questions through Skype, and my Skype address is lisacairns12. You can either call or you can write the question. If you call, please use a headset and make sure you've got good internet connection. You can just leave me a message if I'm talking to someone else that you want to call. If you want to join any events that I'm doing, the next event I'm doing is in May 2020, and that's in the south of Spain, and it's a 7-night retreat in the hills behind Malaga, or the mountains behind Malaga. It's very beautiful. I can't think what else. I always like to start these talks with sitting in silence. Oh yeah, there is another channel. So on this channel here, I do my live talks and they're just raw. There's the sitting in silence, there's the audio going wrong, there's Khaleesi barking, there's everything. And then there is another gentleman, it's a different channel, and it's called Video Clips Lisa Cairns. And that person does short extracts of my talk. So they're edited and they're all the fluff is taken out, and they're all titled nicely, so you can find what you're looking for. And that's called Video Clips Lisa Cairns. You should be able to find it on the side of my channel, like as a recommended or featured channel or something. Yeah, it's a really lovely channel, and it's really great that he does that. Okay, now I sit in silence. Just now I like to sit in silence rather than speak to anyone. Sorry, Mary. Just give me like a little bit of time. You can't see what I'm seeing. I leave the window open. And at least you can hear an animal. She's like the door. Okay, let's begin. Dong, dong, dong. Let's begin. Let's begin. Forgot what the title was. Let's have a look. Life isn't personal. I just do a bit of an introduction first. Oh, screw it. Maybe I just do questions first. There's people wanting to. Just let me get set up 1 second. Let's change the format. So basically, what do I mean by life isn't personal? Just while I wait for them to say they're ready. Niall, before you, there was another person that Carrot called, actually. So you're second in the queue. So life isn't personal. Like, you might think that you're sitting listening to me talk and that you're experiencing this talk, whereas that's not true. There isn't anyone. There isn't anyone that wakes up, there isn't anyone that gets this, there isn't anyone that knows about this subject. There is this knowing. Okay, Mary doesn't want to speak. Okay, I'll just do a bit of an introduction and then we'll go to Niall. So there is this knowing or this experiencing of life, and that's not bound to anything in time. That doesn't belong to anyone. So you don't own this life. You don't actually exist. There is thoughts, feelings, sensations, images appearing now, giving the appearance that someone's experiencing this life. Whereas actually there is simply experiencing, and that experiencing is everything. You coming up, my love? Yeah? Yeah. We went for such a long walk today, even my legs ache. Khaleesi has surpassed my age, so she's beginning to act a bit more like an older lady. I think she's in her 50s now. And so I get the feeling if I'm tired from the walk, then she's definitely tired. So there isn't anyone that owns this. So the experiencing doesn't belong to someone. The someone appears in experiencing. So it's the opposite way round to what you believe it to be. So you are free. You're free. Your essence is free. It's everywhere. It's all things. It's the wall. It's the curtains. It's the lamp. It's the sound of my voice. It's the dog licking herself. It's the floor, the carpet. It's everything. That doesn't belong to someone. That isn't someone's. Suffering starts when there is identification with being that someone, and there's a forgetting of who you truly are, and then there is a going in time and always living in this timeline of you. So always having this image of you and this belief of you, and then this you always feels incomplete. It feels like it's lost something. So then what it does is it seeks more in time to try to find what it feels like it's lost. And everything that you're looking for is right here, is this. Right here, right now. And in essence has no judgment. It doesn't sit there and make notes about what's happening. This is good, this is bad, this is indifferent, this is right, this is wrong. It just is. Experiencing, and that's why it's called love. Because it's not judging the good, the bad, or ugly. It's just experiencing. Just a happening for no one, not for a personal identity. The person has all these judgments about what's happening, and it's like, I like that, don't like that, tick, like that, cross, don't like that, want more of this, more of that, more of this, more of that. And then it's like striving for all these things. And then it gets into this subject, and then it strives not to strive. It's like, oh yeah, I no longer have desire, and it represses desire. There's nothing wrong with the movement towards pleasure and the movement away from pain. That's what mammals do. We move towards pleasure and away from pain. But what you're looking for, that rest, that deep rest, isn't in pleasure. It isn't in the future. It's right here. Always here. Dug, 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 dug. Always here. Okay, maybe we go to questions then now. Hey, Niall. I just said, can you hear me? Yeah, I can hear you. You can turn your video off because then it doesn't take my data. Thank you. How are you doing? Nice to hear from you. No, and if you could turn yours off, it just saves my data, you know, because I'm using a lot of data for the stream. Like it doesn't compete. It's just next to the phone. You like the picture of the phone at the bottom of the screen underneath my picture, I think. Not positive where it is. Yeah, if you could just, yeah, you're using video. And then, so at the, you know where you hang up the call? Yeah, there we go. Cool. And then, yeah, then that saves my data. Like I'm using phone data at the moment. Use phone data. Nice, how are you? Long time no speak. Just a little bit behind, about 30 seconds. Oh, yeah, and hang on, I just realised that your Skype isn't going into, 1 second, I've just got to get you going into, into my, what's it called? Black hole. I think that's, just speak again now.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, now everyone else can hear you. Before it was just me could hear you.
That was so funny with the calling when you're meditating.
There was someone else that did that before as well. So just about 5 minutes before you, someone else called, and so that's why I was like, well, we'll just do that.
I saw a big smile come on your face, and then I was like, I was tempted to do it myself, but I didn't. So Fluffy is 4 years old now.
Oh wow!
My doggy.
Yeah, I'd forgotten that you got a new dog, but it's not so new anymore. Has she calmed down then?
No. Oh yeah, I mean she's really good. Oh, she's just right now rolling on her back and playing. That's hilarious.
Oh,
normally
sweet.
Oh, but I can't show you her. She's so cute.
And how old is your daughter? Your daughter must be a teenager now.
She's nearly 14.
Oh wow.
We're all getting older. Apparently.
Yeah.
But it doesn't feel like that now anymore. That's hilarious. Fluffy's come right up to me and is playing. But yeah, Lisa, I can actually talk to you about this and not sound like a right knobend.
That's such an English saying, a knobend.
Sorry?
That's such an English saying, knobend. We might need to translate that for some people.
Probably best they don't.
Doesn't translate well.
Yeah.
People are thinking you mean a door handle. Why is he calling himself a door handle end?
Yeah, it kind of happened on Wednesday night. Like, it still sounds embarrassing to talk about this.
Yeah. What happened?
Well, that's coming home.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I can't believe it.
Everyone's going to be like, so what were you doing?
5-MeO-DMT, but we don't talk about
it. Now everyone's like, right, off I go.
It feels like I cheated, you know? Because I still can't understand how you guys have like gone through that, like just through your path with without, you know, a shortcut. Or
oh no, I did experiment a lot with drugs, like hallucinogenics.
I never heard about that too much, or I didn't listen.
Yeah. Just a disclaimer to everybody that's listening: don't do anything illegal. I'm not recommending doing anything illegal, and I'm not recommending to do drugs.
Neither am I.
This neither is Niall. Just a little disclaimer.
I'm not talking fictional characters here. Like.
If you're going to do any of these things, go to a country where it's legal.
Yeah, well, it kind of is in Spain.
Is it?
The ceremonies are, yeah.
Yeah. So in some countries they are legal. Like I think a lot's legal in Holland and South America, and some states in America.
Yeah. Oh,
My friend in California the other day, they now do. She was telling me they now deliver weed like pizzas. You can even get food with it as well, and you get like a menu of all the different weeds, and then they come to your house and they deliver it, and you can even like order food at the same time and they deliver it. Or from what I understood, or there's like a restaurant that does it in food as well, and you can order it. I forget now what they said exactly, but you can definitely get or delivery service to the door, which is abstract to us in Europe.
Yeah, in that way, yeah. Well, yeah, I'm not going to say too much actually.
Yeah. Legally delivering to the door.
Yes. Oh my God, it's like I still can't believe I'm talking to you. It's still.
I had a friend who did. I forget what that's called exactly. It's 5-DMT or something. The enlightenment drug.
5-MeO. Yeah.
And they had terrible back pain, like sciatica, and they even I think it might have even been a slip disc as well. I have such a terrible memory, and I don't like lying, but I can't always remember the stories. Like, so I'm trying my best to like give disclaimers. So it was either slip disc or sciatica, and they did that, and it really healed it. It wasn't fully healed. There was still a little bit of issue afterwards, but it was from like barely being able to walk to being able to walk and even go on bikes, like bike rides, and like standing up straight, and it really changed everything just from doing it once.
Well, you could say it's right. You could say it's quite energetical.
Yeah. 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 I've never done it myself. DMT. Oh, I have actually. Yeah. But not the enlightenment drug. But I've just done it in ayahuasca, DMT and ayahuasca.
Yeah, it's totally different with the 5-MeO. Apparently, talking fictitiously.
Yeah.
It's well, not that I've done the other, but oh my God, God.
Yeah, wonderful.
I'm quite. Sorry.
Wonderful.
It's kind of good that I haven't got you live on the YouTube, because when you were just talking directly, it was just sending me off into the experience again.
Yeah.
You understand about that?
Yeah.
But just thank you so much, Lisa. Oh my God.
I get thanks for this?
Yeah, you do, because you take the shit from all those. And there's a past offender who totally projected, wanted to capture the Lisa Cairns, trying to think that was what they were seeking. I just apologize, and just hopefully
Yeah, that's sweet. Yeah, that's been quite intense. Are you still there?
So sorry.
Not just not just from you. Like, I didn't really notice it that much from you, but it's been quite intensive over the years. Like that type of energy. I think it was like a bit of a recipe. I'm getting older now and things are changing, but I think it's a bit of a recipe. Like talking about this message of being a young woman, and I wasn't really fully aware of what I was doing when I was like broadcasting over YouTube. Like, you don't know the effects and you don't really understand all of it. And I think I'm a really energetical teacher, so I think that people can really pick it up and sense, and then their mind thinks it's her.
Yeah.
But
of course, it's going to think that.
Yeah. And since that, like, I've understood a lot of things about being a woman. Like over the years, like I've learned to dress differently on live streams, and I understand a lot better about like unconscious flirting that I was doing. Like, I wasn't really conscious that I was flirting with people, but I see it. I understand that it's like something very innate in women to be flirtatious, and I understand that, and I can't really stop it because it's just in us in the way we're built. But like I understand. Like, I look back at those videos in the beginning, and I could just see like it was a bit of a recipe for that. Like it was really beautiful, but it was also I'm a lot more restrained now. I understand things a lot better.
To be honest,
Yeah.
sorry, there's like I don't know how many second gap in between, so I'm interrupting with that.
No worries.
I have to work out how many seconds it is, and then I'll shut up.
And now you're like totally off in the experience again, and you're like, what the hell is she talking about?
No, thank God I've turned you off live. Like, God, that. You know, I don't actually think that's. I don't know, because I actually, you know, had to kind of get away from watching you and just work it out. But like, so I haven't been watching that much recently.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's. It's like I'm gonna explain it to you from the other side.
Yeah.
If you want.
Yeah.
It's like you're a freaking trillionaire. There isn't even a word for it, you know, and it's like, I've got it. And you can't get it. That's not the way you're saying it, but it's just like that's the way the kind of ego's like seeing it, and it's like, oh, I want it, and there's so much love in your eyes, you know, and it's just like it
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Especially when people have had awakenings, so they really like energetical awakenings, and they can really taste it. Like I can imagine that's really agonizing. Like you like sometimes when people come, they've just had the mental understanding and they don't really have the energetical knowing. And then sometimes when people have had like awakenings or mini awakenings energetically, they really know it, and I can imagine that's really frustrating as well. Hello?
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, you're still there.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just trying to leave it seconds not to interrupt you.
Yeah.
I'm a bit of a slow learner. But yeah, just thank you so much for your patience, because I kind of, you know, for keeping the live streams up, and I guess you're not going to be doing anything else anyway.
Doing what do you mean doing anything else?
Well, like you're just doing it, aren't you? Like on a Wednesday and Sunday.
Yeah. Yeah. I sometimes think about stopping doing one of them, so just doing like Sunday, but then it never happens. Like every so often I think I'll announce that, and then I forget, and then it never happens.
Kind of just used to doing it.
Yeah.
But well, I'm gonna see you in May.
Oh, nice.
I'm gonna get the deposit paid. I've still got a few days to do that, so that's really cool. So I think I'll come over and oh my God!
And it's not far from you either.
No, I mean it's a country, so can I come with Fluff, or are dogs able to come, or?
You have to ask the retreat centre that. Like if you ask Amelia, the organizer, she'll give you the retreat centre, because I come with Khaleesi, and people, I don't know about participants. I don't know if I get like a special deal. Yeah, so and they have a dog, and they have cats and chickens. Yeah, and they're really cool, because one day Khaleesi hurt their chicken, and they had to kill it and eat it.
Oh shit!
The chicken did escape from its pen, and then straight away Khaleesi was like, and then she broke its wing, and so they had to. And they're really cool with her. They're very.
It's not like the people in Thailand when she killed the chickens there, no?
Yeah, I had to pay loads of money.
I remember you saying.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it's only, and I think it's only something like 5 hours drive from Valencia, and I think there's a bus.
Yeah, no, I've got a car, so I'll be down. So yeah. Yeah, I don't know what to say really. I mean, I woke up like the next day thinking, okay, so I haven't turned into Superman. Or, you know, and it's like, okay, so that was just like, you know, you'd taken a shortcut, and then but I knew when it happened, I just knew, right? It's just like, it's your most inner, deepest desire, isn't it?
Yeah.
Ooh, here we go.
And you don't know what's going to happen, like, so just don't have too many ideas about it. I mean, not that you can stop it, like ideas will come or they won't, but like just whatever your mind is trying to do, if it tries to make sense of it or think about what it's going to be like, or that this is forever or not forever, or will you lose it or won't you lose it, just notice it all as mind, like it's all just thinking appearing, and it doesn't make any difference. Like that's not telling you anything about anything. It's way deeper than that.
God. My God, you're going to totally kill me. Yeah, thank you.
And like all the energies that are happening, like just without judgment, like you might have some really bizarre energetical experiences, and like become really sensitive, and like things might become very magical, and just no judgment, like it's all experiencing. It doesn't matter. It comes and it goes, and it comes and goes, and here, this is.
Just bizarre. Thank you.
Yeah, it is really bizarre and it's mysterious, and just don't try and make sense of it. It's not meant to be.
And I just have to say, now I sent you some fucking email like one morning. I'd had this, without going into it too much, this dream where you were in it, and I misinterpreted the dream, and then now I understand.
Yeah. I
If you know what the hell I'm talking.
Don't imagine that I remember. I've got terrible memory. So I tend not to remember things. I remember reading emails from you, but I can't remember what they were about.
Oh God, one was just like, I've just woken up from this dream, and it was like, okay, I sent you an email. It was like, I don't know, 7 in the morning or something. So yeah, I apologize about that as well. but yeah, it's funny because when I was on the retreat with Krishna and what was the those where are they from, Slovenian or
yeah.
no, not sorry,
Yeah, I've forgotten their names. Yeah, Slovenia.
Vladimir.
Yeah, Vladimir and Christina. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, and you called her Krishna, didn't you, or something? If you remember.
I don't remember.
Yay! And on that retreat, I had this weird dream with dragons and stuff, and Vladimir was, oh, that's so I didn't know anything about it, but anyway, I digress. But well, yeah, thank you so much. I won't take your time for other people want to talk to you.
Oh, nice to speak to you, and I look forward to seeing you in May.
Yeah, me too. I'll see
nice.
if I can bring.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So just write to Amelia, and then she can ask Rupert, or give you Rupert's email, who owns the retreat centre.
Yeah. Okay.
Nice.
Thank you.
Yeah, nice to hear from you, and happy to hear the joy there. The giggles.
Yeah, like the funny thing is, it's like what you were seeking, because I realized it was like I was seeking that energy again, just that freedom, and it's like just isn't a big deal, is it?
No. Yes and no.
Yeah.
So it's perfectly ordinary, and it's also really changes things as well.
It's bizarre. Okay. Well, lots of lovely stuff. Thank you so much.
To you. Thanks, Naz.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Nice. Is there anyone else that would like to call in? Hi, Tim. Just say if you want to call in. Well, I've got it all set up. I might as well. Or you can just call. Whichever suits. Johnny Bravo. This is very cool to talk about. Okay, let's have a look. Inside my mind. Today I learnt that not everyone has an internal monologue, and it has ruined my day. My day was completely ruined yesterday when I stumbled upon a fun fact that absolutely obliterated my mind. I saw this tweet yesterday that said that not everyone has an internal monologue in their head. All my life I could hear my voice in my head and speak in full sentences as if I was speaking out loud. I thought everyone experienced this, so I did not believe that it could be true at that time. Literally the first person I asked was a classmate of mine who said she cannot hear her voice in her mind. I asked her if she could have a conversation with herself in her head, and she looked at me funny, like I was weird one in the situation, so I began to become more intrigued. Most people ask that they have this internal monologue that is running rampant throughout the day. However, every once in a while, someone would say they don't experience this. My life began to spiral out of control with millions of questions. How do they get through the day? How do they read? How do they make decisions between choice A and choice B? My friend described it as concept map, that she sees in her brain, although another friend says she literally sees the world in her head when she's trying to think about something. I was taking ibuprofen at this point in the day because my brain was literally unable to comprehend this revelation. How have I made it 25 years of my life without realizing that people don't think like me? I posted a poll on Instagram to get a more accurate assessment of the situation. Currently, 91 people have responded that have an internal monologue, and 18 reported that they do not have this. I began asking those people questions about things that they experience, and it's quite different from the majority. I would tell them that I could look at myself in the mirror and have a full-blown telepathic conversation with myself without opening my mouth, and they responded as if I had schizophrenia. One person even mentioned that when they do voiceovers in the movies of people's thoughts, they wish that it was real. And to their surprise, they did not know that the majority of people do, in fact, experience the echoey voice in their head that is portrayed in TV and film. Another person said that if they tried to have conversation with themselves in a mirror, they would have to speak out loud because they can't physically do it inside their mind. I started posting screenshots of conversations on my Instagram, and my inbox started to flood with people responding to the investigation. Many people were reassuring me that I was not crazy for having an internal monologue, while others were absolutely mind-blown I was. People were telling me that I ruined their day and that they do not understand anything about life. Maybe you're all just a figment of my imagination, but regardless, yesterday made reality seem even more skewed. How do you think? How does this affect relationships, jobs? It's nearly finished. Experiences, education. How has this not been mentioned to me before? All these questions started flooding my mind. Can those people without the internal monologue even formulate these questions in their mind? If they can, how does it happen if they don't hear their voice? I mentioned earlier that I was spiraling out of control. Well, as I write this and as I hear my own voice in my head, I'm continuing to fall down the rabbit hole. When other people just have different definitions to their thoughts, or if people literally don't have an internal monologue, there is one thing that we do know. You will definitely get a headache if you keep thinking about this. Yeah, people in non-duality already know. You have to take ibuprofen. I remember there was one gentleman who's listening to this talk now, who, this is what my partner told me. He told me that one of the people on the retreat had heartache, not heartache as in like bad heartache, but emotional pain, and they took an ibuprofen for it. And I thought this was so funny. I don't mean to be mocking the person who it happened to, but I just thought it was really endearing. Like, it never occurred to me to take ibuprofen for emotional pain before. Just trying to wrap, but I think a lot of people do it because a lot of people don't realize it's emotional pain. Just trying to wrap my head around it, causing irreversible brain damage. I suggest asking people around you what they experience. if you are one of the few that do not have this internal monologue, please enlighten me, because I do not understand life anymore. Send help. That's a sweet article. So what were we talking about? Oh yes, this article of the internal monologue. I have an internal monologue, sort of, and sort of not. But it's like sometimes on and sometimes not, and it often feels very far away, like it's really far in the distance, but I can feel it, and it's kind of like it's often trying to organize things, like organize what I think about this or what I think about that. So not so much like telling me what's happening in my life, but more like organizing concepts, like and telling me what's what. Pardon me. And most people believe that's who they are. So some people that don't have it at all, so then that'd be interesting to ask them who they think they are. But for those that do have it, most people think that internal monologue is you, that one that's telling you what's happening and discussing, and that's not who you are. And they also think that that person has free will to choose, but science reports that the conscious choice happens 6 seconds after the body's made the choice. So there's a choice that's made that's unconscious, and then it takes 6 seconds for there to then be a conscious choice. Pretty fly for a white guy. Boom, bitty doom, boom, boom, bitty doom, boom, boom, bitty doom, boom, boom. Hello, Simin. Hello, dear Lisa. Nice to see you again. Nice earrings. Merci. Lisa, what do you know of the famous monk Thomas Merton? Nothing. Let's look up Thomas Merton. Nothing. I'm not very good at putting words and names and everything together. Thomas Merton. Thomas Merton was an American Trappist monk, writer, theologian, mystic, poet. He was French. Art enables us to find ourselves and to lose ourselves at the same time. Oh, isn't that beautiful? Well, just going to put that in my quotes. That's really beautiful. Thomas Merton. Oops. Hello. Oops, hang on, sorry. Someone just called, I think. Or maybe I called them. Hello?
Hi.
Hello?
Hello. Could you hear me?
Hello. Did you call or did I call you?
No, I did call.
Oh yeah. Can I just get you to turn off your video just because I don't want it to use my data?
Did get it?
Could you just turn off your video so I don't have to?
Okay.
It's just if you. I'm not sure where it is on the phone actually.
Okay.
I just don't want the download from the video. Thank you. Nice. How can I help you this evening? Or I don't know what
Yeah.
time of day it is there in India. Very late in the evening.
Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty late. Yeah. So I was just hearing your the conversations. I had been following you for last couple of months,
Yeah.
and like you had been talking about the conscious choice, and you just mentioned that the body makes a choice just 6 seconds prior to you making a real choice about that. So that does that mean that never really actually you make a conscious choice?
No, never. And who would be the person that makes a conscious choice? So there is this functioning of thoughts happening. So there is this thinking that's happening, this voice inside the head that's saying, pick the banana over the apple because the banana's better for you or because you like bananas more or whatever it is. Whereas this is to scientists. They say that that's already been decided in the body and then the conscious choice arises in the mind. They say the functioning of choice making is actually teaching the body and informing the body of its surroundings. So it's like a receiver. It's not actually about somebody being in there that makes the choice. It's about updating the body about the surrounding by distinguishing what's in the environment and putting information into the system. But yeah, so it's really beautiful because that means that nobody is guilty. And also nobody is the hero. Like everyone is simply acting out their karma. And when I say their karma, I don't mean a person's karma, but just life's karma. It's just being acted out and it's nothing personal. It's a happening, which to me it, equals love. Like seeing that is really love.
Okay. Yeah, because I mean, I just, I did hit a roadblock actually,
Yeah.
because I had been thinking, I mean, all this time, like, maybe like, you have the karma, which is something like a conditioning,
Yeah.
due to probably
Yeah.
your birth and your family and your
Yeah.
environment, surroundings, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then finally, like once you can get rid of this this compulsion, then probably you can get rid of karma, and that becomes some sort of an approach towards a liberated life. But like as what you said, like you said that it is a part of an overall, like it's a holistic thing, like
Yeah.
you are just a part of it. So
Yeah.
it really doesn't, I mean, the two thoughts really doesn't conquer to each other. So
Yeah.
that's where like I hit a roadblock. Sorry, like
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, sometimes through the investigation of this subject and the involvement in it, karma is going to change. Like karma is always being changed. Conditioning and genetics are always being updated. So it is going to change the way that body-mind mechanism responds. It's like putting new information in. But everybody has karma. In the end, everyone is destined to die. Not that there is really a thing as death, but transformed. Like every body is destined to be transformed into something else. So it grows and it blossoms and it'll be at its most beautiful, and then it begins to decay and then finally will transform into something else, which to most humans is the worst thing that can happen, but that's the same with everything. So whatever you think is bad karma, in the end, everybody is annihilated. Like I'm not laughing at people for that, but I mean like nobody beats karma. And nobody, so sometimes we get this idea of having the perfect karma and it'll make our lives happier. But it's just part of the flow that things blossom and then things decay. And when you take it personally, then it's so difficult to watch some of those things. Like people suffer so much from their experiences in life. And everybody has tragedy to an extent. Like nobody really goes through this life avoiding it.
Okay. Yeah. So, does that mean that you really don't have any control over, getting rid of karma?
There is nobody that has control over it.
Okay. So,
So
yeah,
that
sorry.
there is
Go
nobody
ahead.
that has control over it. It's something that's happening. But obviously there is wisdom, but whether or not that wisdom is listened to is down to destiny, it's down to life. So like I remember my Buddhist teachers, when I was younger I used to practice Buddhism, and they used to describe it that, if you go out and you drink lots of alcohol, then the next day a hangover follows. So and that is karma. And from understanding that information, then more than likely the body picks up new conditioning and changes its way. Like, so the problem in our society is a lot of people don't really understand what they're doing. They're quite out of touch with what their body's actually doing. So say if you're being passive aggressive towards your family member, say towards your mother. So passive aggressive means like you're playing it nice, but underneath you're being jaggedy with her. Often people aren't conscious that they're doing that. So then when the mother reacts and shouts at you, then you believe it's her, and then you feel victimized by it. So you believe, so then there's no change in that situation. There's no shift that happens. But if information comes the way that you're actually going into the situation with a negative energy, if that's seen, then there's more than likely a changing that happens, which will change karma and will change relationships and will change outcomes. But in the end, like nobody beats karma. Like there isn't a perfect karmic life. Like I speak with so many people around the world, and if we look at, say, money as being good karma or something, or being poor as bad karma, like I speak to such a variety of people, and I speak to people that have everything financially. They have wealth beyond what the rest of the world, like the majority of the world know, and there certainly isn't a more happiness there. And then I speak to people that are maybe on benefits in Europe or in Canada or Australia, or like benefits are like where government supports them, and then they're really happy and they're really free. So there's we don't know what karma is, and I speak to people who, one person, they have their mother dying, and it's like the most awful thing that can ever happen to them, and they're really traumatized by it. And then another person I speak to, and it was really healing and really beautiful and really opened them up. So you can't define karma, or what it is, like what's good and bad in this life, really. It's the attitude. Like, to me, freedom is recognizing who you are, and then through that being a shift in the personal mentality. Like, so the freedom is recognizing who you are, and then through that it shifts the personal mentality, and life is looked at from a different perspective. It's looked at as something that's love, like something that's not against you, something that's not trying to hurt you. It's an expression of love, and through that realization there is freedom. Whereas a lot of people are looking at life like it's against them, like it's there to hurt them. And through that, no matter what you experience, whether you experience like really beautiful things, if you look and think life is going to hurt you, then you'll see all the bad things.
Okay. Yeah. I got it. Thank you.
Sometimes I go
you.
off on one. I can
Thanks
speak
so
a
much.
lot sometimes.
No. It's pretty interesting. Yeah. So, yeah. Thank you.
Oh, with pleasure. Is that everything? All the questions you had?
Yeah, that's exactly like, some people keep talking about like the karma and the liberation, and as if like, the conditioning is never going to affect you. Like you do have a choice basically. Like, I mean, when you get liberated, like, you have a choice basically, like 3 or 4 actions probably which you can take, and that's your choice. And that is basically essentially means that you are getting rid of karma. And
Yeah.
now when I started listening to you a few months back, like something just set inside me that yes, really, like I really do not have much control over all these things. I mean, it's just
Yeah.
happening on its own.
Yeah.
So I mean, these two contrarian thoughts, like made a confusion. So I decided that let me ask you a question on this.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so beautiful, this subject, like this part of non-duality. So the teachers that I really heard that from was Ramesh Bolsakar and Roger Castillo. But these are 2 teachers that I met Ramesh first and went and lived in Mumbai for periods, or stayed in Mumbai for periods, and then from that I met Roger, and it's such a liberating teaching. It's so beautiful, because while you believe you're the doer, there's always this attachment to your actions and attachment to outcome. And it really is surrendering it all back to life and seeing that you don't own action and you don't own outcome, and they're not what you're really looking for. What you're really looking for is presence. They're just something that happens, like the tree grows and the flower blooms and the sun shines and the wind blows.
Okay, yeah. So Lisa, the next part of my question is like,
Yes.
are you coming to India?
No. No, I've had
Okay.
another guy that lives in Chennai asking me to come to India, and at the moment I've got a busy year ahead of me from other teaching, not from teaching non-duality, from personal things, and there's no travel. I'm just doing one retreat this year as well, so there's no travel planned. And I don't know in the future. I don't even know if travel will be planned in the future, because it's so amazing, the internet now. I don't know if we need to travel to do these talks. Like, it's really amazing that we can do it over YouTube and all be sitting in our home nice and comfy.
No, it's okay, but in satsang, it's really it's a different experience altogether.
Yeah, it's really beautiful. Whereabouts in India are you from? Hello?
Hey,
Sorry.
I think I lost contact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereabouts in India are you from?
I'm from Calcutta.
Oh, nice. I've never been to Calcutta.
Yeah. Not a nice place to be in.
But isn't this above Calcutta? There's really beautiful areas, like lots of tea, like where tea is grown, and it's meant to be very beautiful north of Calcutta.
Yeah.
And some nice beaches around there as well.
Yeah, it's on the hills actually.
Yeah.
It's not really on Calcutta. I mean, Calcutta is more towards the sea, and like you go up around 300 miles north of Calcutta, there will be tea gardens and all this stuff.
Yeah, but cities, I mean, all cities are like that. It's intense living in a city. My mum lives in a city, and I find it a lot going back and staying with her.
Great. Yeah.
Nice.
Lisa, you had been amazing. Like, I mean, it's really a pleasure for me basically to listen to our YouTube's conversations and all, like, and I look forward basically to hear more and more of your, these speeches.
Oh, thank you for saying that. Oh, lovely to meet you and speak to you on here.
Yeah, same here. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Hello, Isabel. Oh, your sunflowers. That's it. No more questions. I did it. I did it. So if you have any questions, you can just text me. Or maybe tonight we do it short. I am. Wow, there's lots of pictures. I am. Same earrings. Wow, is he? Some of the pictures you've sent me. It's nice colours, that one, with all my faces. I like the colours. Bub. Hi, Tim. Oh, sorry, Tim. Yeah, so if I don't see your question, please just send it again. Sometimes I click on it and then I get distracted and then it goes. Hi, Tim. Do you think that trauma and PTSD from childhood needs to be addressed before awakening can occur? Growing up in a family where there was alcoholism, rage, codependence and dysfunction has left tremendous grief, anger, separation and a false self developed to help survive the chaos. There is an existential grasping at the gut level from all of this. Does this need to be cleaned out a bit and healed before awakening can occur? I fear awakening could be re-traumatizing. Also, can you talk about Osho chakra breathing for trauma and other healing? And finally, how do you balance knowing you're perfectly good enough as you are with the need to work to be free of trauma that makes you hurt so much? Sorry, a lot of questions. Thank you so much, lover. Thank you so much, Lisa. With love and gratitude. Sorry, I got crossed over with the next sentence. Well, let's start. No, I don't think that trauma and PTSD needs to be cleaned out before awakening can happen. I think awakening can shift some of that. From my experience, I think everybody's got trauma in their system. Was after the awakening, it got acted out again. So often when you have trauma, I think this is really beautiful. The body, it's just not so nice to do it. But what happens is when you have trauma, and everybody has it, you actually tend to go towards that which traumatized you. So you tend to, if you were abused by your dad or something, or he was very abusive and shouted and controlling, then you'll tend to gravitate towards that. And the theory is, that's my experience, and the theory is that your body is trying to balance itself. And I think this is a really nice explanation, and I think it's a good explanation for positive thinking. And your body's trying to balance itself, so it goes back to the situation because it wants to heal it. But you're not conscious of that. So what happened with me was I went back and acted out those traumas again. And then what happened this time was really acknowledging it and really seeing through it. So the other times it had been unconscious, and then that time it got acted out again, and I really acknowledged it and really got to see it for what it was. Yeah. And I'm sure that I'm still acting out traumas and unconscious, like human stuff, not just what's happened in this lifetime, but like human stuff. And that's could be an endless process. So I don't know, I don't think you have to do it one way or the other. Yeah. But it does seem, until you're really conscious of these things, they do keep acting out again and again and again. And maybe even once you're conscious of them, they act out again as well. What happened to me was I grew up in a household where there was a lot of illness. This is just one part of Lisa's story, and there wasn't sufficient boundaries established. And I watched my mum not having very good boundaries, and so therefore I didn't have very good boundaries. And if you're somebody that doesn't have good boundaries, then what you attract is you tend to attract very pushy people because you're not establishing boundaries to kick them out. So somebody with really good boundaries would be like, nope, nope, nope. And then that person would be pushed back. But somebody without very good boundaries, you can have a very forceful energy that comes into your space. And if you haven't been taught it, you can't recognize that. And that's okay. Like, you can meet some amazing people doing that, but it tends to like push that boundary thing again. Like, it tends to like. And so when I started becoming a speaker about non-duality with not very good boundaries, I thought I had got better, but I hadn't. My boundaries had got better to an extent, but you become a speaker and you're a young woman, like it was such a bulldozer on my boundaries. And then also having this awakening, like you have such a sense that everything is love. It's really hard. So you've already got weak boundaries, and then it's really hard to distinguish like anything, like people's actions or not actions. So then what happened was I began to surround myself with people that were too pushy. And it's hard if you're around too pushy people all the time. Like, so inevitably there is like an explosion that happens, an eruption, and that happened about 4 years ago, and it was really painful. Like this eruption, like and when I say an eruption, it's like finally one of those people that pushes your boundaries too much, like did inappropriate stuff, and through that there was a great learning and understanding and process that happened in me. It was really like I really registered it and really trying to improve my boundaries, but it's not natural for me. Like, still now I don't have very good boundaries, and it's maybe a lifetime work, but I'm really conscious of it when it begins to get acted out. Yeah. And I can feel it often, like when somebody's crossing my boundaries, but the problem that I have is that I feel compassion for that person. But that doesn't, like, yeah. So you know, we've all got stuff to go through. Maybe, like, I don't have, like, or maybe I do and not conscious of it, but it doesn't feel like I have hatred anymore towards that. Like, there's no hatred towards the people or towards it. There's anger sometimes, but there's not like a deep, lasting hatred. Sometimes there's fear of these people. But all of it is welcome. So you have these feelings in your body, and they're so visceral when you really get down to it, when you stop living in the story of it. Like, the sensations are really visceral, like fear or discomfort around someone, or somebody triggers something again. So stuff like Osho chakra breathing. I was trying to say Osho chakra breathing is really good. You can find that information on my website. Holotropic breathing is really great. Like other types of therapy, like physical therapy, like more energetical therapy, like massage. I forget this other therapy. It begins with a K, and they massage you and find stories in your body. All of this is really good for relaxing the body. But just really seeing that there isn't somebody that arrives somewhere. So you're always thinking of it as your trauma that belongs to you. Even when I tell the story of Lisa, like I talk about it as if there is someone here, but it's deeply seeing that that isn't you. Like who you are is the experiencing of that. So you say, and finally, how do you balance knowing that you're perfectly good enough as you are with the need to work? It's not you that knows that. So it's not you that knows it. Like you don't know that you're perfectly good as you are. You are as good as you are. Like you are perfect the way you are. But that's not a mental thing. That's not something that you have in time. That's a knowing that's present. That's about presence. The person can always improve and change, and it's coming and going. It's not a fixed thing. So that person can't be fixed like I'm better and I'm just as good enough as the way I am. It can have insecurity, it can have love, it can have all these things because it's not a fixed thing. It's responding, and you can change the conditions of the body to different thoughts come up, but that's not the part of, that is perfection, but that's something that's changing. What is it that never changes? And that's what's free. And that's who you are. I don't know if I answered all your question there. Yeah, so if you've got anything else you'd like to ask him, ask away. Hi, Vera. Is there such a thing as destiny? I mean, these are all words, so there's nothing that's real in words. Words are just something that we label life with. So destiny, to me, what my understanding is it is that life is like preordained. And I don't know if life is preordained, but it's own, like, I don't really know what that means, really. I mean, you could say it's destiny, you could say it's preordained, but it's spontaneously happening now. Like, so it's only going to be one way, there is no other way. Predestined, destiny. Like, so destiny to me is like, all of us have a destiny, a place in which we're going to get, but it does feel a little bit like your destiny. Whereas more of it, I see it more as like, life is like this one animal moving. There's nothing that's separate, so there is no personal destiny. There is like the movement of life, and from one element moving, the other element moves, and then as humans we're always personalizing it and believing that we're separate from the trees, the stars, the wind, the others. Just one happening, Thanks for your question, Vera. Ines. Hi, Ines. Nice to hear from you. Hi, Lisa. One perspective that I find helpful with the boundaries thing is that my firm telling people no or stop when they're overstepping my boundaries, I see that I'm giving them the gift of finding their resilience and autonomy, but sometimes I still don't do it very well too. Sending love. Thanks, Ines, for your suggestion. My dyslexia is really playing up tonight. It's mixing words. Swessen. So sending and suggestion was getting mixed then. Thanks for your suggestion. Yeah. Yeah. I find it to be twofold at the boundary thing. So it's one is that I feel compassion for the person. So say if they're suffering lots and they want lots of attention, so that's one part that can happen. And then there's another part, and this one is really hard to see, is there is also fear of the person. So when somebody crosses my boundary, I then become afraid of them, but it's very hard. It's really subtle. It's like really minute detail in my body. And then through becoming afraid of them, then I kind of allow them to cross my boundaries because I'm afraid of them. But it's really subtle. It's not, it really takes like me to really be connected to every part of my body to be able to feel it. Sometimes it can be happening really quickly. So it's these two things. Especially men, but now also women as well. They're so subtle that the makeup of the body and the way that it like acts out, so subtle. And I think that like a lot of people in society are so super unconscious of this, and like so I'm sure that other women in particular have this, and maybe and men as well, but if we just stick to the women. And so then what you could tell yourself on the surface, if you're really not conscious of your body, is that you don't notice that there is fear arising from that person. So then and you're totally unconscious of that, but then they scare you, and then you befriend them and you're nice to them and you allow them to cross your boundaries, and then they're nice back to you, and then you become elated. I can see it happening, and then the person becomes elated with this new friendship, believing that it's a positive thing because they're then elated that they get on with this person, whereas really, like you can see it with managers or with bosses or something, and then they think that that's friendship, or they think that that's liking. It's so subtle what's happening inside of us. It's really amazing, like our makeup. Do you think you will stop doing retreats? Hi, Carola. Yeah, maybe. I can't tell. I might try doing a retreat with a friend of mine that's a tantra teacher this year. So I only do half the retreat, so I just do like afternoon talks, and then they do tantra, and the tantra is like body work, and not tantra is sexuality, but tantra is in like meditation that can include sexuality, A lot of people just think it's instant bonking, but it's actually really healing and very energetical. And I like the idea of working with someone else that deals with like the more personal side, and people like shifting their energy, and then they get to speak about non-duality. And I see how that goes if that's like resonates better for me. It's a lot doing retreats by yourself, running them. I do have help to an extent, like I have organizer and I have a friend that comes on and helps, but it is a lot doing it alone. So yeah. Hi Yadik. Is it an incredible revelation that there is no conscious decision? It means we are on the same level as animals. Yeah, but we have the ability to contemplate our surrounding, which changes the conditioning. So Khaleesi can't contemplate whether eating chicken or a banana is more healthy for her. So she can't put that information in. Whereas because we can put all this information into us, it's like reprogramming it. So that makes us different from animals. We are animal though at the end of the day, and leads us to do all these things. But it's also our thinking ability which has made identification happen. Thank you. Thanks for commenting. Pleasure in this. Thank you so much, Lisa. I'm so grateful for your replies that are so generous and feel so healing simply to hear them. My heart is always warm to spend the time with you. Thank you. Thanks, Tim. That's sweet. I've lost my mind. I've lost my mind. I've lost my way. That's such a long name that I can't even, you can't see it in the end. Hi, Miss Cairns. I just discovered you on YouTube, of course. Watched your Batgap interview, saw that you were doing a live stream and thought I'd stop by here and see how this goes. Okay, nice. Welcome. My name is Rob, by the way. Welcome, Rob. Hey Brian, nice to hear from you. How do you let go of times when boundaries have been crossed in the past? I think it's a continuous process. So when you have a trauma, you have a tendency, or you have like this type of personality, it's say something that you always have to work with. If you say had like, you know, like some type of illness like asthma, like it's a tendency, a way of the body, you know. I watched my mother from such a young age not have great boundaries, and so it's just not something that comes naturally to me. And also I think the way I am, like my dyslexia and awakening and open-mindedness, it's really not, like I just don't get it. I know that sounds so weird, like someone can be really arrogant and I can't really perceive it. That sounds so crazy. So they can be really arrogant and pushy and demanding, and I can't really see it. And it made it worse, the awakening, like less of an ability to see it. But I can kind of feel it if I really pay attention to my body. But I can't sit there and perceive this person's being really arrogant or this person's being really demanding. Like, or this person's talking too much, or this person's like talking at you at like 100 miles an hour, and it's like, I can feel it in my body, but it just doesn't translate correctly. Whereas my partner sees it really quickly. So he'll say something like, why do you let that person speak to you like that? Or like, why are you befriending that person? Then he'll explain it, and then I can see it. It's really funny, isn't it? And I can't teach myself to see it. I can't teach myself to think this around people. Like, I just don't think or judge people when they're speaking to me. I just am listening to and experiencing them. But then that means that because I'm not saying no to them, then they keep coming forwards. And then often if they are pushing people's boundaries, then they have like quite a strong motive or something, and then you get wrapped up in that. So it's really, to me, it's really like the subtleties of my body and my feeling, because my feeling can feel it. But even if I'm feeling it, I'm not necessarily doing anything about it. And it doesn't seem to get better on that level, but I keep reminding myself consciously and thinking and bringing it to like up in my mind, and me and my partner talk about it. So it's something that might get reconditioned. But I can see in this life, in society, like in a capitalist society that we're in, if you don't have good boundaries, you just get eaten alive. like I've got good enough boundaries to not being eaten alive, but it's like it's a bit like a child, like putting a child in a business setting. Like, so a lot of people in this society are very focused on what they want and what they can get for the situation. And if you haven't got that strong like momentum and you've got weak boundaries, then all these people push onto you, and really, like, the boundaries are just so important, because otherwise you're not around really sensitive people that like aren't pushing on you. You're around people that are just pushing on you because you're not saying no to them, so you're not giving other people a chance. So yeah, I don't know if other people can sense that from their own experience. Sometimes people that come to these talks are really sensitive, and like, it's not that they don't have good boundaries, but they're more open-minded or something. And I once read this thing about cults, and like the people most susceptible for cults are young, open-minded people, and it's not necessarily somebody that's been traumatized, but then they go into the cult and they get traumatized. But it's that open-mindedness which doesn't then bring them the filters. Like, so then the cult or the other like takes advantage of that open-mindedness to push its way in, but then they become traumatized. So it's a continuous process, and all of us have these karmas, and you have to give it to God as to whether God reprograms them or changes them. And like, my attitude is that every time I stumble, it's an opportunity to learn, which is something that I learned from Roger, and it's a really, on the human level, like a good way to look at things. Thinking about them recreates fear from the past, but at the same time we are talking about preventing them happening in the future. I can't see it until much later, maybe years later, And then I've realized I've ignored myself at the time and have been compassionate. I try to understand how to make peace rather than to take action in the moment. Yeah. 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 It's really in the subtlety of the moment. Like my body does know when somebody's pushing over my boundaries, but it's just not being interpreted. And then not getting like wound up in their story or their excuse or their suffering. Like, so not like believing into all of that. It's very difficult, especially if you're very empathetic. Lisa, does dyslexia help with enlightenment? I think Adyashanti had it too. I think what the great thing about dyslexia is that it depends. I think there's different types of dyslexia, but from what I understand is the brain isn't associating meaning so much to words, and there's like an area in your brain that has difficulty connecting words to things and connecting sounds, but everybody's is slightly different. And so therefore I think that like not being really constrained by the meaning of words creates a certain open-mindedness. Like in some way, this is going to sound really weird. I really don't agree with our system, our education system. I think it's super limited. I think psychology is super limited. I think there's good elements in it. But in a way, I think that like dyslexia isn't a disability, which people call it. Although in this society, I'm happy that it is registered as a disability in a way, because it helped me in many times getting people to understand that my brain's not functioning in the same way as them. But I actually think that there could be an exploration, which I don't think there is, into like dyslexia and like an open-mindedness. When I say open-minded, I don't mean open-minded in a spiritual sense. I mean open-mindedness is in like a creative way of thinking. So it's like when others are presented with a box, they examine the box, and that's really great that they do that, and we need people that examine the box that they're presented with. Whereas a dyslexic person might begin to imagine what's outside of the box and what's decorating the box, and that's like more associated with creativity. So Einstein was dyslexic and he failed at school. He even got kicked out of teaching because of his dyslexia, but he had the ability to think outside of what he already knew, and that's really helpful to society. It's not a better than, it's also, we also need a lot of people to think inside the box to make the box work as well. So it's not like the goal, but it's like a part of functioning. But maybe what it means then is that you're not so good at learning to read and write and doing things logically, and then that's not a disability, just like it's not a disability somebody that doesn't think outside of the box. Just a different person. It's like comparing a fish and a tortoise. So and it's a shame because we're always categorizing. We have like this standard of what's normal, and I don't think the standard is normal. I think the standard is really restrained, and then we're always judging everything from that normal, and it's a shame. I mean, it works to an extent. I mean, we're all living together, like billions of us, not killing each other. It's working, and like we're trading, and things are working to an extent in our society. There's great things about it too. Hey Vera, thank you very much for your answer, Lisa. You explained it beautifully. I have one last question. When I say something, or when something is being said lately, I've experienced or is being experienced that whatever something is being said, it immediately manifests itself in the world, or often it is even as subtle as thought. It immediately happens. Do you maybe know how that can be? Lots of love. That's the manifestation of magic and mystery. So in the chakras, they say that when the top two chakras are open, so the third eye and the crown chakra is that like this mystery does begin to happen. So magic begins to happen. So you often have synchronicities or things like that. You think of someone and then instantly they appear, or you dream about having something, getting a dog, and then you get someone gives you a dog, or you find a lost dog or something. But just magic begins to happen. So that's connected to, and it's just part of the awakening. So often there's two types of awakening. There is the awakening to self, and then there is this like bodily awakening thing that happens, that this kundalini movement or movement of energy through the chakras. And that's on the human level though, and that's just a reorganization of the body once there's been a recognition of self. Sometimes it can happen first actually, and then there's a recognition of self. But the recognition of self is beyond the body, and it's not reliant on the chakras. That's an effect that happens. Yeah, so that's really beautiful that happens. And when that begins to happen, you begin to really see that this life isn't a function of logic, but a function of magic. It's really nice to hear that awakening doesn't make you perfect in a personal level with boundaries and such. It really helps me relax and lighten up. I can settle in for the ride and know that the human work is a process even after awakening. Yeah, and it might be endless. Like when I was in India last time, me and my partner were sitting on a rock, and a sadhu came over. It was my partner's first time in India, so we engaged in conversation, and he had never met a sadhu before, so it was exciting for him. And the sadhu started teaching us, and he said knowledge is infinite. And I just thought that's so beautifully said, like knowledge is infinite. And so is everything. So if everything is infinite, it's also the awakening on the human level is infinite. Like the possibilities of what the human can do is always expanding. So whenever you think that you've come to the end of something, then it's always an illusion of mind, because when you really know this world, you see that it's never ending. Like nothing ever ends. And to me that's beautiful. So the evolution of the human is infinite, and what it can do and what it can manifest. We're always waiting for that moment where we become still like the Buddha, and the personality becomes like the Buddha. But the Buddha is meant to represent the stillness of your essence. So that Buddha sitting in stillness and peace and tranquility is meant to represent your inner, your essence. And then if you look at what represents life, it's Kali. And I think it's Kali. I have such a terrible memory. Kali, who's stood on a man with his head ripped off and riding a tiger, I think. I can't remember. But and that's life. Sounds so dramatic. But like life is the opposite of that. Life is like things happening and changing and dynamics. Yeah. But I'm also happy that me sharing my experience, which I try to do, and I sometimes think that it makes me sound really fucked up because I'm always talking about my dynamics. Like I never talk about too much about like what changed or how great this is or that is, because I don't want to like stick the finger in and like bragging, or like, it's not that I feel like I'm bragging, but like making people feel bad about themselves. So I'm always talking about like my difficulties, and I think I must come across like I'm always having problems. But I'm happy that it does that, because we get this idea that we're going to end up like the still Buddha, but that's meant to represent the internal. So you've got Shiva who is the stillness of what you are, and then Kali dances on Shiva's lap, and that's meant to represent life, which is wild. Life is wild. Thank you for your message, Tim. There is lots of questions. Well, no, not lots, but I might not make it through all of them. Hi, Lisa. I would like to call if possible. My question is about following the right kind of feeling. Maybe it's a bit too late now. I've already been live for like 2 hours, so this may be a bit too much. So you're very welcome to call back on Wednesday at 6 p.m. French time. I most probably don't take questions till about 6:30 or 7. I normally do silent sitting and then I do a little bit of talking. Hi, Johnny. Probably you know well how to use your right brain. Right brain is non-verbal. There are also people who are good left brain but bad at right. Yeah. Have you ever read about U.G. Krishnamurti's physical changes in his book, The Mystique of Enlightenment? No, I haven't. Which U.G. Krishnamurti do you mean? The grumpy one or the other one? It's difficult when you can perceive the humanity in everyone, even when they're inappropriate or downright terrible in some way. I can't just tell people to F off or something. Yeah. Nice and really helpful talk. How to thank you. Just to say God bless you and all your efforts. Please passez un bon story. Kali. Yeah, it's Kali. Yeah, so she's standing on a man and she's got man heads around her waist. This is a picture that someone's told me. She's got a sword and a man's head in her hand and her tongue is like... Yeah, she's like a goddess. Kali. And fire she's holding. Yeah, all types of things. Ha ha ha, the grumpy one. Okay, yeah, so yeah, like, love to read that. I didn't know he had a book on that. There is so many energetic changes that happened here. Nice. Kali. Kali. See, how could I forget that? I've spoken to so many people about Kali and then I forget it. It's part of my dyslexia and I don't know, part of getting old. But yeah, Kali. My dog is called Khaleesi and I always think that she's like Kali as well. She is, she certainly takes after the name, the Queen of the Dragons. That's what Khaleesi means. And then apparently I haven't watched the end of what is that thing, TV show called again? Game of Thrones, and apparently she becomes really bad in the last one. That's the way it is. Okay, my loves. Khaleesi, my sidekick. I just say goodbye from Khaleesi. Hey, hey! Say goodbye. Now you get to see I'm in a bed. Say goodbye. And yeah, have a beautiful evening and I shall see you on Wednesday. Goodbye. May the force be with you. Boom.